We are back for another On the Ropes podcast. Many updates and analysis to Bob Weave and adjust to in what was a pretty crazy weekend that we saw recently. That was a mediocre March, but just want to get an intro from everybody today, man. We've got Sully, got LNC Consultancy Limited. We got the main man that we've been missing, Kuzi Kellerman, also known as Asif Ghani. Good to see you, brother.
Also known as that guy off EastEnders. Cousin was that guy off EastEnders back in the day. You know what I'm talking about.
Martin.
Everyone Martin. Edit Cousin's beard off his jawline. I'll have a look. Anyway, carry on, Shaq.
Martin, you're talking about the guy who had HIV. Is that Martin?
I think that was the guy.
No, that wasn't Martin. That was Mark, man.
Mark,
anyway,
yeah, that's it.
Enough for EastEnders, man.
That was his brother, innit? That was his brother.
Yeah. Unless we're talking London boxing clubs, let's move on.
All right.
What we said. So the first part we wanted to look at was the Frank Warren promotion that's coming up on Saturday, March 19th. It's David Avanesian versus Oskari Metz. Our main one of the main guys on that card is Hamzah Sheeraz. He's fighting at middleweight now against Jez Smith. It's going to be a good return for Hamzah after sort of controversial one at light middleweight against Bradley Skeet. What do you guys think of the actual card that Frank Warren's put on? Naturally, I mean, he's never really got like the most competitive undercards known to anybody in the British boxing scene, but I think this card should be quite interesting, particularly with Hamzah making his return at middleweight and Avanesian just defending the European title against Metz. Talk to me, boys. Talk to me. How do you feel about this promotion?
I mean, what do we know about Metz?
Metz, really, from what I know, he's obviously a European level fighter. Another punch back for David. Who knows?
I've never seen him fight, to be honest with you. I've never seen the guy fight. I don't really know anything about him, man. What is it, the EBU title or something like that? It's just
the European boxing title, yes, the European title.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know too much about the guy, but I know Avanesian's trying to obviously go for a world title shot. So, and this is his first fight with Frank Warren, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember the Josh Kelly fight, yeah, I don't think he was a favourite, was he? Everyone knew he was going to be tough, but I don't think he was a favourite by any stretch, was he, at all, if I remember?
No, Josh Kelly was expected to win that one. I mean, it was a stiff test for him, but he was expected to win it. But Avanesian, his only big win, it was against Shea Mosley, wasn't it? That was years ago, though, as far as I remember. But yeah, good victory that, though, for Avanesian against Josh Kelly. So, I mean, I think for me, that's probably someone who I want to see Conor Benn fight. I reckon that would be a good stiff test for him at this point in his career. But yeah, can't really say too much about that fight, man. I'm not really seeing the other guy fight personally.
Okay, just a little bit more on the that whole card is you've got Metz starting with the main event with David Avanesian. You've got Hamzah actually co-maining with Jez Smith, and that is for the WBC International Silver Middleweight title. So that's an interesting position for Hamzah to be in going forward. There's a couple of other guys on there: Mark Chamberlain, Jeff Ofori, and you got Dennis McCann and Charles Tondo. That's for a WBA bantamweight belt. So all in all, there's a few other fighters there, but just on this card as well. Anyway, I mean, we're seeing Hamzah come into middleweight and just a little bit more focus on Hamzah himself. I think he was training out in LA recently with at the Ten Goose Gym. He's been there for a while now with Ricky Funes. So it's interesting to know. I mean, like what you've seen of Hamzah and what you feel like, his position will be, going and campaigning at middleweight, and what he can kind of deliver in that landscape, because the landscape's quite few and far between, but there's some big names in there. I mean, you got Andrade, and you got Triple G. He could mix it up with some of those boys. What do you think of Hamzah's journey so far, guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't even mention those guys if I'm completely honest right now, I wouldn't even. I think if it's his first bout at middleweight, I think what we saw in his last fight, I think this is just more again finding his feet, see how he feels at the weight.
Feeling the weight
Can
out.
he
Yeah.
how can he move his feet at this weight compared to how he was moving last time? I don't know what happened last time, but his feet just didn't look like they were moving as he wanted them to move. And was he expecting the guy just to stand there for him? Now I don't know what the guy is fighting is like, but I think for me, I just want to see how he fits into the weight before anything else. And does he feel strong? Can he take a shot? And then what's his stamina? All the basics basically. I think I won't even mention the other guys to be honest with you. But I'm interested to see what Amjad's saying when he's been out with him. Is he hitting harder? Does he look faster? Does he look stronger? What has Amjad said anything?
Amjad, yeah. What's he been on to, Sweet?
He only came back from LA recently, so I've not managed to catch up with him properly. In fact, I do need to because I might be going to the fight, but I would just say, look, the guy's what, 6'3", is he? 6'3" or something. It must have been. I know he too was telling me it was extremely difficult for him to cut down to 154 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, when you look at him, it's almost shocking that he can even get down to 154. So I reckon this new fighting at 160 should do him a lot of good, man. I think he should be a lot less depleted coming in.
Do we know what he normally walks around at?
I'm not sure of the exact weight, but I know he has to cut quite a considerable amount to get down to 154. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the 170s at least. But yeah, I know his weight cut for 154.
He's probably training all the time in this. So that walk around stuff, if he's training all the time, then it's fine, isn't it? And you know what I mean? It's only if you're ballooning up and down, which I don't think he looks like he ever does. So it's not really, shouldn't be an issue, should it? You know what I mean?
I think like this guy, Jez Smith, I watched him, I checked him out a little bit. And to be honest, it's a good feeling out fight for him. As in the guy, Jez Smith ain't really... I mean, his best attribute is probably that he's a game fighter. He comes to fight, but he's a very hittable fighter. And
he's had a few losses.
I think Hamzah should put on a show, and I'd be shocked if we didn't stop him. I think it should beat him pretty easy, but I think he's only 22 years old, and we saw in the Skeet fight that, you know what, he's still got some way to go in terms of his learning curve. Like Skeet, let's be honest, Skeet, he got lucky that Skeet got up instead of staying down, because otherwise that would have been a disqualification, wouldn't it? So he's quite lucky in that fight that Skeet got up, and also that the rematch. He's even probably lucky that the rematch didn't go ahead, because I just think he's still got some way to go before like the names you mentioned, man. Like that's I wouldn't even consider them right now, personally. What do you reckon, Nas?
Oh man, do you know what? I agree a lot with Cuz Asif. We just gotta ease off the gas a little bit on the progress of Hamzah. I think we might be in danger of putting a bit too much pressure on the kid. That Bradley Skeet fight, there was a lot of eye-opening points in there, and nothing catastrophic, nothing that can't be mended, but there was and I mean, look, first things on that fight, I thought it was a bit unfair in the sense of he's such a young kid and he was having to control the tempo. He was having to initiate the dance. Yeah. And Bradley Skeet on his back foot, he can just prance around and then decide when he wants to go and then reset again. And then it made Hamzah look a lot more pedestrian than I've seen him in his other fights. And I've not seen all his fights, but because of Amjad and yourself and everyone on this group, obviously we've got an affinity to the boy. But I felt there was this unnecessary urgency that he was having to initiate something. And Bradley Skeet, that was probably his best performance of his life, one of them. Yeah, what he managed to do there in terms of controlling the tempo, controlling the cadence of the fight, and he started, and then that led to him just following him around, not cutting off the ring effectively, not kind of taking a back step, and very, very lucky the way it ended. Yeah, you know, it's all good and saying that he was getting to him, and he was getting to him, but it would have been a very, very close fight on the cards. So I think in light of that, I think again, who's he fighting now? Is it Jez Smith?
Jez Smith.
Jez Smith.
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar. Don't know too much about him, but just kind of having a quick scan of his record. I mean, it's a good first fight into a new weight division. You know, the guy's not got an incredible pop on him, and let's see what Hamzah Sheeraz looks like. And I think Hamzah Sheeraz, given his framework, his skeletal framework, in certain fights he's going to look shite, unfortunately. And in some fights with the higher level opposition and the ones that kind of match him a little bit more, he's going to look unbelievable. I think there are going to be a few potential stinkers, just given the guy's genetics and the way that other people kind of play possum and don't want to engage and pick pockets of the round when they want to dance with him or not. I agree with Asif on this, that let's just see how he gets on, make sure all the basics are there, punch resistance, finding his range, experience, because it's different, isn't it? Because now they're not, you know, it's what's he fighting at 154 now, this first time round?
160. 160.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's not. Yeah. I mean, oof.
He's not. He needs to grow into it. You know, he's
not
22.
filled out yet.
No, he's got to grow. He's got to grow into that naturally, and then I think what I'd like to really see this time though, compared to his last fight, is not waiting to load up in waiting for your guy to be in that perfect position for you to throw. You need to make that with, you know, aggressive kind of footwork, but then feint, right, and then I've got my long arms to get me in, and then I can let some stuff go. Not, I'm just going to wait until I think you're going to stand still, and then I'm just going to see if my power can come through the right way. And so hopefully we'll see some development. Yeah. That's the key thing, because we know he's got a solid guard. We know he moves his feet the right way. He don't cross or anything over. On things fine, but then how is he going to open a guy up? How is he going to set something up? How is he going to touch a guy and then hit him hard? What's he going to do? So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can use his feet a little bit more to just even if it's just a flick a jab out. Yeah, with his foot, feint with his foot, or what I think with it. Okay, so let's just see how it goes. You know what I mean? But yeah, 22 years old, first fight at 160. Yeah, shouldn't be co-main event. Don't even call it that. Just call it a comeback fight. You know, that's it. No pressure on the kid, man. He's got 22. If he was 27, fair enough. You know what? He's got to start making moves. But 22, no chance. You know, he's.
Yeah, I think we're talking like as if he's like an established fighter. We're not. I don't think anybody's trying to say he's an established fighter. I think we're trying to say that at 160, he's got a route to get to like top level opposition. And I think in that top level opposition at 160, he got pretty much some of the best out there.
Yeah, he's an established fighter, Shaq.
Pay-per-view.
He's definitely an established fighter. He's a prospect. Yeah. But you've got to all the kind of.
No, he's not a championship level yet, is he?
But he's been ranked. So
we need to get this. We need to get sort of the terminology right here, because we need to be on the same.
No, you're right. I think we might be saying the same things, just using different labels. But that's fine. That's normal. But he's well bred, in terms of his amateur background and how he's climbed up the ranks, and then also in the kind of the setup that he's got now. I think there's a danger of potentially rushing him and then cutting corners and putting too much pressure on him. And fully agree again. He's just got to slow it down a little bit and get that man strength. And the game plan of Skeet and Dominic Ingle is a fucking nightmare. They're a fucking nightmare. That's like Junior Witter territory. It's like, it's in the who needs them club. Why the hell would you fight someone like that? They can make you. Their whole game plan is to wait for you to move and then just go back, and now it's on you. So you need
all the way out.
I think Witter never really. That's it. With Witter, he never really had like the power to really kind of disturb anybody, because he was generally like, I think he was a speedy fighter, speedy puncher, but he wasn't necessarily someone who could really kind of come off the front foot and say,
but to be fair, Skeet in that fight probably had the quicker hand speed though from the two of them. I think he's.
Yeah,
I think he just. I think he
he's still got
underestimated.
that
I
kind
think
of
he just
development.
underestimated Skeet completely. I just thought he thought, oh, this guy, you know, he's in what 33, 34. He's at the end of his career. A few rounds, I should just be able to walk him down, basically put it on him and take him out of there. I think they just maybe they went in and didn't actually focus too much on his strengths and just thought, yeah, he's going to be too young, too strong, too good for the guy. And Skeet had him confused, man.
I'm smiling because Nas is right with Ingleman. I just remember our brother Barry. You remember Barry fought Josh? Do you remember? I mean, that was just for Ingle through and through. Like, I'm just going to frustrate the hell out of you. And I don't care if he's ugly. It doesn't make a difference. We'll get the win. You know what I mean? That's it. Even though he didn't get it yet. But yeah, that's why I'm smiling. I'm thinking Ingleman, son of a gun. He knows his stuff, man. He knows what he needs to do.
I think that's naturally been a bad part for them to get the sell for a decent pay-per-view fight for some of their fighters over the years. Not been able to do it unless they've had the belt. But you know, styles make fights and people win, you know, the way that they know and they see fit. So the footwork can kill you on the back foot when you least expect it, and the frustration plays into the way they like to fight over in Sheffield, England.
But look,
what do we say then about?
It sounds like on that. I mean, I don't want it to come across as like, oh, you know, we're kind of, there's a bit of critique there, but in terms of positives, there's huge amounts of positives, but they're glaringly obvious. You know, for a guy of such dimensions to be so comfortable on the inside, and he can. Do you remember the thing that we were talking about on the last podcast, or certainly the one that I was on, where we're talking about fighters being able to slow stuff down and do things properly and still generate strength? I think Hamzah Sheeraz can definitely do that. He looks like he can take a shot, and there's a lot of stuff to like, and it's I mean, potentially there's like multi weight division kind of glory to be had here. That's the beauty of the journey, you know, where we're catching the kid. So inshallah, let's see what happens.
I think that was their intention.
LNC promotions coming soon, man.
I think they wanted to try and keep him at 154 to see if they could get a world title shot there. But obviously, like, I mean, if it comes to a point where making the weight is damaging to him, you shouldn't be sticking around a weight class to try and that's sort of they've done the right thing to move him up, instead of maybe try and get 2-3 more fights at 154, see if they can get in with a Jamel Charlo or someone, whoever else is world champ. Jamel Charlo lost to Castano, didn't he? Yeah. But you know, that was their intention, but I think they've done well to move him up, because I feel like it was just a big ask, wasn't it, for him to get down there.
Yeah, and you won't see him against the Charlos, would you, right now? You know, with all due respect. And
not after the ski fight.
Yeah, Nas is right though, because look, by the time he's 30, he could be a light heavy. Look at his frame, and if he just builds out naturally and just grows into the man that he will be, there's no doubt. You know what I mean? He could conquer a few there. So yeah, inshallah, you know what, all goes well.
Bro, he's got a lot. He's got a hell of a lot going for him, man, in terms of his attributes and his like physical advantage that he has, man. Like he's definitely got the tools to become a world champion, innit? But I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And another thing I think is worth mentioning is how the boy comes across, man. I call him a boy as a young man. I keep calling him a boy, showing my age, but it's quite refreshing to see a level of composure and balance, and just not talking nonsense, not playing up, you know, to the youth demographic, not playing up to this new pop, pinky, shiny world of social media and whatnot. It just sounds like a very authentic, grounded kid who's there I go again, young man. And that, I mean, if that goes hand in glove with his mindset for being a fighter, then, you know, inshallah, he'll go a very, very long way.
Allah. So the fight breakdown for you guys, I mean, as we don't know too much, maybe you don't know how much you guys have seen of Jez Smith, but from what I know of him, is, you know, European level fighter at best. I think he had a go at it with Kerman Leijeraga, Spanish super welterweight. I mean,
I actually did watch that fight. I watched that fight.
The Leigh Wood fight, yeah, I think so. It's a level. I mean, it's still within the same ranges of, in terms of CV resume that replicates, say, so Bradley Skeet. So he's still kind of at that. You can see from there, in terms of the resume, you can see Hamzah's still at that learning phase at the minute. He's got a chance to get in as a, sort of an interim belt with the WBC and build up from here. So you've got the options at the end to work within the middleweight division. I think it is quite messy like middleweight as well.
Shaq, I've got to chime in. I'm sorry, young man. This Jez Smith chap, you just got to do a quick inspectional glance side by side of their chronology, their background. He's not in the same ballpark as Bradley Skeet. Hamzah should be walking through this kid. He is handpicked, cherry-picked, and rightly so. He should be cutting through him. It's the right choice, but Bradley, if there's another performance like the Bradley Skeet one as an entry level for this new weight division, then it's kind of back to the drawing board a little bit. But this guy, Jez Smith shouldn't have the pop, shouldn't have the know-how, and he certainly hasn't got any momentum to carry on into this fight. So yeah. I'm expecting a platform for Hamzah Sheeraz to perform.
Yeah, even stylistically as well. I mean, he likes to come
forward and the performance of the fight, isn't it? So I'm just talking about the resume itself. Like, he is still billed as a fighter that kind of has worked in the same range as Bradley Skeet. Whether it be the same fight is a different story, I think.
No,
you know what I mean?
His wins are over nobody's. Bradley Skeet had a decent kind of.
I mean, his wins are over nobody's. His wins are a different story. I'm talking about like the kind of caliber of fighters he's had.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, in that level, yeah. So it's a little bit different to what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're breaking down the fight, which is what I want anyway. So that's good. But all I'm saying is that he is kind of like this. He's just pillars that Hamzah is basically stepping over each other and moving forward with his campaign. So. Fair play to him. I mean, at the end of the day, Frank's putting him in with whoever he's putting him in with, and he's dusted all them off. So he's going down the right route.
You mentioned Frank there. I mean, is it worthwhile having a quick minute spending on Frank and like what this new? Because obviously we've seen Frank for literally 30 years, Frank Warren, right? And there's been an evolution of that guy, like certainly his public persona and how he comes across now. And you mentioned there, Frank doing goodbye.
He's still at shoulder line.
What do you think about Frank, boys?
Where did he get the money from?
Frank caught his there's a second win, but at his age, like his fifth win, he's caught his fifth win, man. And he's blowing that wind right up Eddie's Eddie, man. Eddie's biggest purse
in boxing history. Biggest purse in boxing history. Let that sink in for a minute, man. Biggest purse in boxing history. Yeah. He's trying to separate the men from the boys, and fair play to him. You know what I mean? For how many years that Frank Warren's been in the business, and he's worked with everybody from Sky to BT.
Did he recently do Hearn on the Andrade fight as well? Did I read that somewhere?
He did.
He's done him, yeah.
Yeah, done him again.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not the same scale as the White Fury fight, but still, it's just these little. That's another one over you have got. You know what I mean? And then Hearn was like, "Oh yeah, but it's never going to sell over here." But I would sell it still. But come on, Eddie, just say you got beat, man. That's it.
You got beat.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. Do you know Eddie though? Yeah, like shows like yesterday, Dazen. You just think to yourself, he's just ballsed it up a little bit, and he could have just stayed where he was and just done the same thing, and he would have been even bigger, right?
So he's still got his.
It's yesterday's fight was on Sky Sports.
Sully's still got his subscription.
Listen. I'm just a sucker for buying pay-per-views and subscriptions. When it comes to boxing, you know what? I just do it, man. I tend not to, but I'll just end up doing it and be like, fuck it.
Yeah, listen, and for the purpose of the camera, I ordered it too as well to Sully. I ordered Dazen, you know what I mean? Legit, everything signed.
$7.99 was that fight last night? The other night, not
I followed the link that you sent me and I paid double.
I was literally going to go behind you on that.
If yesterday's fight was on Sky Sports, with the Sky Sports News hype build up that you normally get, as opposed to Dazen, it would have been even. It was big anyway, right? Because of the drama and everything that happened. But can you imagine? It would have been even bigger. So I don't know if Eddie's getting extra views from something that we don't know about, and maybe in America people are hitting him up and it's trending, but I'm not too sure. So I don't know. I don't know, man.
You're on the right
DAZN,
tracks for sure, definitely. Yeah.
I think he's suffering, man. I think they came in and spent a shitload of money in the first couple of years, thinking, right, you know what, you've got to spend to make money. So they've just invested a crap load of money, hoping they're going to take over. It's not quite happened because obviously America is not that simple to just come in and crack the American market. You've got guys that obviously these Al Heyman, Bob Arum, they're going to go anywhere. And now this is why he's losing some of these purse bids. Now they realize that we're running out of money, and we'll probably have to rein back these ridiculous offers that they're making to fighters. And now I think
Frank Warren tried it, didn't he? He tried it with Box Nation. He was maybe successful for a bit, but then he had to join forces with another giant, didn't he? When he joined forces with BT and as a paying customer, you're thinking it's just part of my subscription, and I was going to pay for footy and cricket anyway, or golf or F1. So this just becomes part of that. So why would I then pay
UFC as well? Because
yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing. They tried it all on their own, but they had to go with a big brand because they cannot just expect customers to pay, only the diehard ones like Sully to pay separate to what they already paid.
Stupid ones, bro.
no, diehard, Sully. I'll call you diehard.
Diehard, mate. Yeah, keep it legit on the show, man. You're hardcore. You know the score.
Yeah. The other thing as well with DAZN, I'm sure he's talking about doing pay-per-views now. Wasn't his whole selling point? His whole selling
that's
model
the
was
first part, man. That was the funniest first part ever.
It's just a subscription-based.
To build up the subs. He was offering Canelo. He was offering Virgil Ortiz, Golden Boys for what? How much was it? What it was? I remember paying $1.99 a month at one point. $1.99, $2.99. He built that back up to $7.99 after the next year. Saw his ratings drop, saw his balls drop, saw his pants drop, and moved on. And now he's got Canelo back on pay-per-view. You naughty boy.
So wait, is Canelo Bivol going to be on pay-per-view then? You're telling me that's DAZN pay-per-view, Canelo Bivol?
Not for us in this country, but in America. So he's gone back to the American model.
Well, there you go, innit? And that's a win because he, like your Joshua over here, built him up and then he put him on box office, didn't he? Yeah, so that one, Canelo, we know who's going to sell. It's a given. So you know what? There you go, innit? So yeah.
It's just the fact that he wanted everybody to just have a monthly sub and that's it. And he was saying pay-per-view's dead. But that was just bringing punters in.
Yeah, of course.
It was Jason Quigley. Frank beat him to that again. Beat him to that with a punch for Demetrius Andrade versus Jason Quigley. That's for his WBO title. Middleweight.
Of course. Yeah, it was one of them.
Quigley's been around the block, hasn't he? I mean, he's not been he's been around with mediocre fighters, but I think he's got through the WBO, and I mean the WBO rankings. Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, fighters there generally are not as well known as say the guys who go for the green belt, go for IBF, go for the WBA, but it's a fight at the end of the day with Quigley, and I think Frank will do another show with Andrade involved. It's another loss for Eddie, unfortunately. But
you know what?
We're going to get on to Eddie actually later on with the Wood fight.
Shaq, big up Frank Warren, and we want you to get an interview with Frank Warren. We want you sat there.
We should try it. Yeah, I mean, we should pretty much try it.
Himself, just sat there talking to him direct. Because the guy is just a G, man, isn't he? Isn't he like Tupac and 50 Cent? And he been like taking shots and stuff and just still carried on walking. The guy,
Mike Tyson, I think it was Mike Tyson.
He's just unstoppable. And then now, like he's linked.
He's had a brilliant life story to tell as well.
Overseeing the career of Hamzah Sheeraz is brilliant. And the likes of the people that 15, 20 years ago got into gripes with him and had litigation cases, and when they reflect, they always say, I wish I never did that with Frank. It's crazy. And it's sort of like Ricky Hatton, Prince, Nas, I think even Kalzagi said something similar. It's very, very interesting that during what's in the eye of the storm, they're thinking, I might get shafted today. I want to go out on my own. And then after the passage of time, they look back and think, should have stayed with Big Frank. But do you know what? Just as a whole kind of persona and the whole kind of charisma and character and what he had, he is pretty much, British boxing's old guard, and I love it. I love it. Eddie done lots of good things, but nowhere near. But yeah, all I'm saying is big up Frank Warren.
Yeah.
We got Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren, the whole team. Even back then, it was he gave up the platform with Steve Bunce and Steve Lillis. I still like those two when they talk boxing. So fair play, man. Box Nation was a thing, and it still is, to be fair. You still got to go.
I used to subscribe.
I just wanted to touch on a few more. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I had a subscription to that. I know, man.
Yeah, I did. I still. Do you know what? It's funny. I never actually cancelled
Box Nation. I love Box Nation.
Yeah,
I never cancelled.
You got some of the Pacquiao. You had some of the Pacquiao fights on Box Nation.
You had some of the American fights on there. Yeah, you're right.
And they were worth it on its own. On their own. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So
I think Canelo Mayweather might have been on there as well, actually. But history makes itself. I just want to touch on now a few points around the boxing world as well that happened. Last month and this month. I just want to get your thoughts, guys, on the what happened from Taylor Catterall and how you think the British Board of Boxing Control have managed the situation, and what ideas you might have yourself about how we can deal with this point system fiasco.
Listen, guys, I've got an idea of how to score rounds and make it better and make it fairer and give the judges more flexibility with the scoring. Yeah, because the problem is at the moment, here's a problem for me. You can have a 12-round fight and you can have one guy could dominate 6 rounds and win them easy, hurt the guy multiple times, and the other guy could win 6 very, very close rounds and just about do enough to win those 6. But the fight's going to be a draw because it's a 10-point must system, isn't it? So therefore, you have to score it 10-9 either way. But in my opinion, that's not right. If some guy's getting leathered for 6 rounds and just about losing 6 rounds, sorry, some guy's battering someone for 6 rounds, but then only just losing the other 6, he should win that fight, in my opinion. I don't think a draw is a fair result. But then the problem is then how do you score it? So what are you going to do? You're going to make it 10-8 instead of 10-9. But then what happens if there's a knockdown? How are you then going to score that? You're going to score a knockdown in the same way that you score a dominant round. So then look, here's my solution to it.
You go on, Sully.
Score the round out of 20. Don't score it out of 10. That way you can do something like, if it's a very, very close round, give it 20-19. If it's a dominant round, give it 20-18. If it's a dominant round plus a knockdown, you can give it, say, 20-16. If it's a close round plus a knockdown, give it 20-17. Therefore, you can score each round according to what happened and give the judges more flexibility. And at the same time, like, you're not going to have stupid decisions. If some guy, at the end of the day, you're going to end up with more fairer results. I don't know what you guys think about that, man. But that was something I was thinking about the other day, just because obviously it's what I do in my spare time, innit? I think about how to rescore boxing fights.
Yeah. Well, what's this green drink you're drinking? Is this Alex Ariza juice? What is going on here?
No, bro. It's no liquor, man.
The real one.
No, it's just a smoothie. That's it.
But do you know what, though? I agree with you, Sully, but let me just get this right. This 20-point system, I mean, ultimately, could that be the same thing, but you just do 10-9, 10-8, 10-7? Why do you have to go up to 20?
No, because if you're saying that one guy narrowly wins a round and you're scoring that round 10-9, yeah? Yeah. For me, you should not score a round where somebody completely dominates the other guy. You shouldn't also score that 10-9. Sure. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you...
You're expanding the point system, basically, is what you're saying.
I'm giving more flexibility to give a fair score.
Yeah, it gives you the flexibility because you've got up to 20 now.
Isn't already built into the existing rules that if there's if there's a convincing... If you're taking a shellacking, for the 3 minutes, but you've not had a knockdown, it's at the discretion of the judge to give a 10-8.
It is, but they very rarely do that, though. That's how.
Of course, exactly. So it's not.
It's not the
rule is there. Yeah.
You don't see any standing counts anymore, do you?
The rule is, you're right. That's the rule is there, but the reality is, you very rarely see a guy score around 10-8, even when the other guy's being dominated throughout. It just doesn't happen. They just end up scoring at 10-9.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I think you're more likely to get like a cultural change, an interpretation change of existing rules. That's more likely to happen than a complete overhaul of pointing system. Like like in football, in other sports, they just so like say for instance offside and things like this. They referees are given further instructions, further guidance, how to apply the existing rules, and you see a general morphing over a period of time, and it does happen, but that I mean otherwise you still get to 2019, 2018, 2017 and they still follow the same restrictive rigid interpretation of the law. You got the same problem, just more points.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah,
no, but
but the
that's
thing
the
is,
thing.
I don't think last week. I don't think there was, apart from when he did get the knockdown. I don't think there was any rounds that he got pasted. So I don't think it would have made a difference, Sully. To be fair, with your logic on that one, because I don't think he got paid. Apart from when he got knocked, I don't think he really got pasted. He just got outboxed, didn't he, in a lot of the rounds. So, in my mind, what
Taylor,
you know the judges, right? That these guys sign up. I mean, how do they make sure? Apart from like the fight, how do they make sure they're still on point overall? I mean, did they go through like physical and medical exams and stuff to say, listen, is your vision still all right? Is your logic still all right? Who you watching here? I don't know, man, but it just seems like there's not enough rigor around the guys that we're bringing in. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works.
The referees go through star ratings, don't they? So they can be A star, A. You can get the B below, so on and so forth. So the referees do get rated by the BBBOC. But
obviously right.
What the criteria, as you say, as you say, I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe they need a vision test
that
every
could be
5 years
reformed.
or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to get, maybe they need more regular kind of checks on their health and and eye
Sounds
tests
like
and
that.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely sounds like that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm genuinely speaking, like they say, put yourself in the other person's shoes. I'm trying to put myself in that guy's shoes and say, right, what angle was I watching to think some of the rounds went the other way? And that's the bit I struggle with, because you think, okay, fair enough, aggression, you've heard that before. Okay, you might look at something and, well, he punched his glove, so I'm not going to count that one. And that one, he might have grazed his face, even though he might look like he punched it properly. Right, fine, it's one for Taylor. Yeah, honestly, some of the rounds I get it, but some of the rounds I'm failing to see what angle he was looking at and what he was happy with, or was it like I think Malignaggi always says, whoever the champ is, you end up watching the champ because you think, well, let me see what the champ's going to do, and as a spectator, you do it as well. When Mayweather used to fight, you used to just watch Mayweather sometimes, didn't you? And then you think, because I remember that, and I think Nash, you said it as well, the Pacquiao fight, people are like, oh, Mayweather schooled him. But I'm sure in that fight, he got hit more than he's ever been hit before. Maybe even the Cotto fight, people said, oh, yeah, Mayweather schooled him. But I'm sure he got hit a lot. But we were just all watching Mayweather. So I don't know if this judge was just, well, he's the champ. I'm here to watch the champ. And whenever the champ lands, that one's noted. But all I can see Jack doing is grabbing his left arm. Yeah, and that's all I'm seeing. So maybe some of these ones I'm going to score a different way. I'm not sure.
Definitely got a point there, because I think one for the BBOC to definitely look at. I think
now he's been downgraded. Now he's been downgraded. What does it mean? What does it mean? So now will he then judge an English title fight or something? He won't get any world title fights. Is that what it is?
I would assume that the A-star refereeing has an impact on his adjudication of world championship boxing fights that's sanctioned by the top. Yeah. We're talking about top sanctioned bodies.
The thing is, the guy, for a fact, unless there's some corruption, unless you're the hometown boy, you will the opposition will just won't agree to him. So if you're the hometown boy and Ian John Lewis is there, sorry, we need to either change the venue or change him, because we can't have him hometown with the champ. You'd contest it, and you won't care if he was he went from A-star to A whatever, fine, but you just won't have it, would you? Say no, we can't have him. End of. So it'd be interesting to see, when Ian John Lewis comes back again to judge a fight, what people say about it, what the opposition or one of the parties say about it. Would you be happy with him there? I don't think a lot of people would be.
It's been a mixed bag of all sorts when it comes to a lot of big championship fights. I think Tyson Fury, Wilder 1, had a American and an Englishman in the for the judging, and then a neutral individual from Canada. How neutral that is, I don't know. But
the shocking thing for me on this one was, this guy's an established referee.
He is.
You know, he's up close.
Enjoy this.
He's got all the inside angles as well. So when he sees a shot from the inside, he can also see, look, on the outside, that's what it probably looked like, but I can see inside. So again, you know,
there's different. I mean, some judges will prefer to score for a certain style of fighter. So where it's a close round, one guy might like the guy who's coming forward, who's being a bit more aggressive, whereas the other guy prefers the one who's showing effective defense.
Sully, that's only when there's no clean shots landed, right?
Yeah.
When it's all tit for tat and everything's on the gloves and there's not much thrown. Then, like I was watching UFC yesterday, yeah, Ankalaev versus thing on. I watched it in the morning on BT Sport. Plug for BT Sport. Watch it, and then the same thing. You know, Ankalaev won rightly so, but you could tell the judges as well. The first couple of rounds, not much happening, apart from I think Ankalaev maybe grabbed him, put him down later. But most of the fight, most of the round, he was the pressure guy. Even though that guy landed some nice low kicks, Ankalaev looked like the one who was in control because he was on the back foot. His distance was good, and then he just threw one hard shot. But some of that. That's when you might look at the aggressor when it's a very 50-50 tit for tat. No one's really going for it, or it's just, you know, both hands are up and everybody just hitting gloves. It's fine, no problem. But I don't think that was the case, was it? So, well, from what I saw, in some of the rounds,
not in the Catterall Taylor fight. I thought, you know what, you're struggling. I actually rewatched the fight and then I scored it properly, and I ended up giving Taylor 6 rounds, but with the knockdown. And that was, by the way, I was trying to be generous to Taylor when I was doing that as well. I gave him 6 rounds, but with the knockdown, he's still losing the fight.
Yeah, because the other point deduction the other point deductions got balanced off in there, so that equals things out, right? Which is fair enough.
Exactly.
That was then inevitably tight for you against Sully, wasn't it? By the time you came to the end of the fight, it's still a tight point. You know, in terms of points, it's only one point in it, really, isn't it?
Look, you know what? If he made the errors towards the back end of the fight, I'd even get it, because you think, do you know what? You're the challenger. You've got to take it off the champ, right?
Yeah.
But this happened at the start of the fight. So at the start, it was quite clear this guy was still dominating. But if it happened later on, it was 50-50, fine. You might even veer towards the champ because the challenger's got to come and take the title off him. But, you know, I think who said it last time? You know, Mayweather, he makes sure he wins 7 rounds. And that could be in any combination, right? Any combination whatsoever. You win 7 rounds, and if you've won 7 rounds and you get robbed, then it's a hard one. But at least I think Jack Catterall now, clearly, I think ESPN ranked him as number 1, haven't they now, on their rankings, which is fantastic for him. So that means at least he'll get some, you know, he'll fight. He gets what he deserves. Not fully exactly what he deserves, but, you know, he can hopefully take some money home for his family and get some big fights, you know.
Yeah. Big up Catterall, man. 140-pounder. He's doing his thing for Chorley, the local area, and the UK as well.
Yeah, he's fought at I'm sure he's fought at the Macron a few times with the old Reebok Stadium. I'm sure he has. He's fought there a few times.
Go on, Catterall. El Gato.
Sorry, Shaq. Where's their gym? Cause Jamie Moore and them. Is it under the arches or near where pits used to be?
I'm not sure, you know. I'm not sure. I know Jamie Moore and these guys sometimes. I know they come Elite Boxing sometimes because they've got links with these guys, Nigel Travis, and the guys at Elite used to train with Oliver Harrison, didn't they? So they've got a bit of a Northwest crew. So I'm not sure exactly. But I know Jennings is in that. Jennings will be there as well, won't he? The old Chorley man. Yeah. But yeah, the guy that I used to do, gym that I used to go to.
I think Jennings has got his own gym now.
Yeah, who did he train? Who did I watch with last time? And Jennings was in his corner. I can't remember who it was actually. And I recognize it. I think did he go to America recently?
He's definitely got his own gym, Jennings.
It'll come back to me.
But look, do you know on this one, I'm going to be a bit controversial, slightly anyway. Look, I think Taylor got very lucky, but I just don't think it was as. I could see why it was super close. To be honest, and it probably the opposite reasoning for there's when people talk about the Mayweather effect, I think there's lots of different Mayweather effects, and I think there's one kind of Mayweather effect where the likes of do you remember Castillo in the first fight, and then Maidana the first fight, where you had people think, oh, they won that, oh my god, they won that, right? And then you watch it back and they didn't really win it. But it's whilst you're watching, it's the opposite. I see what Cuz was saying about when you only just looking at Mayweather's work, but then sometimes the opposite's the true. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, this pound for pound unified champion is getting touched up. What's going on here? Look at this. There's a lot of that, and then it kind of gains momentum, and then you miss just even the little shots. Even the little shots to Taylor was landing. Taylor was missing out on his combos, but on his entry, he was getting off. And some of his shots were getting smothered by Catterall, his head positioning, on his bottom of, on his pectus there, on his chest, around the shoulders, and it just, you couldn't quite see what Taylor was landing. So I think there's a lot of that. And was it Andrew Ward or was it Max Keller? One of the two. They actually had a bizarre.
Ward did, Ward, by a few rounds, I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, it's kind of, it depends a bit, but he loved that, didn't he? Andrew Ward loved just getting his short, sharp little shots in there. Yeah, and then so he's kind of got a filter on to see those, whereas other people just think that work's been smothered. But definitely Catterall won the fight, but I just don't think it was as wide and as controversial. But that was on my first viewing of it, and I'm yet to watch it all fully again. But the thing about judges, and let me see if I've got this right. So there's 3 judges, and they sit on 3 different sides of the ring. Is that how it works? They literally sit ringside on 3 sides of the ring, and then one side they don't sit on for whatever reason. So they pick.
Maybe they need to rotate, man. Rotate after 3 in it.
Well, maybe they shouldn't be in the arena. Maybe they should be sat somewhere remote without any sound on, with the best technology, the best view possible.
Yeah, and no crowd. Yeah, no crowd noise.
Crowd influence, and then you can literally take off the commentary, take off the sound, and you watch what's going on, and then you kind of tabulate your stuff digitally, and you crack on. I mean, that's an idea, because it is serious, isn't it? It's like the likes of Catterall, you can't imagine. I mean, a lifetime's worth of work at that level. Oh my God, it's like heart-wrenching, and you're putting your life at the risk. It's not a joke. It's gladiator life being judged by a not fit for purpose framework of judging.
I'll tell you what,
it's a really good shout, because think about it, when we were in lockdown and we had all the fights without any kind of crowd there, can you remember any really controversial decisions? So your point around the crowd is a really good one, is what I'm saying. That's take it.
I take it, but Campbell Hatton got one, I think.
That's because he was scared of his dad, innit? Do you know what I mean? The judge was scared of his dad, innit? He's gonna glass me outside later. Do you know what I mean? Don't want any of that.
What if they took a page out of football and they said one of the judges is sat at home watching it on TV, so you can be the VAR judge. So
make that me. I'll do that. Oh, no problem.
If the one in the arena is a bit unsure about who won that round, you could just go back to the VAR judge and be like, yeah, can you just clarify what happened in this part of this round, and did he land that punch or not?
But then he might say, listen, listen, my Wi-Fi dropped, my daughter wanted something, my son said he needed his ass cleaning or something, so you'd have to be locked away somewhere, man.
Or somebody mute.
I could probably see.
Going middle age.
Somebody mute us. I could probably see Naz.
I'm muting myself, man. I muted myself there.
Well, listen,
I could probably see Naz as the man in the hat, the same one that was at Peterson Con, because you can easily just like tip the balance of the points right there and then.
Are you calling him corrupt? I thought you're going to say Naz is like the good judge here. Do you know what I mean? It's corrupting him now, man in the hat. I've not heard that in ages.
I'm saying it's a new option to have, right? You got a fourth man.
No, jokes aside, I don't think it's a bad option.
Trying to keep these guys in check.
Yeah, I want to run with my fantasy new judging, and I think it could be kind of supplemented with. So you still have your 3 judges, you still have your kind of 10, 9, 8, 7, but then they can have supplementary information at the disposal. So, like, you have Opta Index on football, and you've got some analysts and some data crunchers keying in and measuring everything. So, do the whole punch box thing, but literally have 100 analysts literally counting in how many punches have landed and, who's done what, and power punches and left and right, and literally, and then all that is, it's supplemental. It's just there for information purposes. So you can have a look at it live per round. And then
any 50-50 rounds,
yeah,
that could be the tipping one, right? Actually, do you know what?
And it's just so they can loosely base it on it if they need. And then it's a bit of a safety valve for judges as well, saying, look, like you're saying, because 50-50, I was influenced by the information at my disposal, not only my eyes, my knowing experience, but also the crunching live information from 1,000+ analysts. Literally, you could have it live data reaming into them per round, and they go, boop, 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 boop. But they just look at it as a secondary thing. Actually, okay. But sometimes they can just do away with the analysis and then justify why as well. Maybe.
I was thinking along the same lines with you, as I think I think that technology's out there. I think that you can machine learn a computer to effectively count the amount of jabs thrown, the uppercuts thrown, the power punches landed and thrown, etc. You get the stats pulled up from that. You've got your secondary armor of analysis there and insight as to how the fight should have panned out.
Yeah, because they have it anyway, don't they? You know what I mean? Not.
I mean, they've got with CompuBox. It's a slightly old technology, right? Because it's looking at a replay of the round, and then it's computing that amount of punches that it's been seen. But with machine learning, I think, and the artificial intelligence, you can actually have like every part of the boxes, basically upper body, lower body being analyzed real time.
Well, like in UFC, to like a simple degree in it, they show the leg kick, body kick, headshot, don't they? Break it, and that's normally in at the end of the round, don't they? Right, round one, this way they're up to, and no, it's not a bad shot.
I mean, could it not just score more rounds as a draw? Could it not just do that? That therefore, you know what? If you're not sure, instead of having to make a decision just based on a stat, you could just maybe be encouraged to score more rounds even. Because they don't really do that too much, do they? They don't do that too much.
No.
They can. They can.
Yeah, they're allowed.
They can do it. Yeah, exactly. They've got the ability to. So that's not the question as well. To be fair, I mean, if it's justifiably 9-9, who can really and the AI and the technology backs up as well to that degree. You seem more confident in your decision.
Shaq, you're about to go full-blown Terminator mode on us. This is how Terminator starts, the plot of Terminator. There's a young good-looking guy like you who starts talking about machine learning and AI, and then before you know it, you got Arnie naked in a car park. But look,
MSC in waiting, bro.
Yeah, and then we have to go and kill a guy called Dyson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't do that.
Target acquired.
Sarah Connor. Look, that whole this is why judges are irreplaceable at the top of the pyramid of making the decision, because this whole crunching in power shots and what's not a power shot and all this, I mean, machine learn all you want, but I think an experienced eye is still the best gauge of what
I'm not saying take over it. I'm saying just give you a secondary opinion to back up your point.
I'd trust Sully. Right? I'd trust Sully to tell me if he thinks a body shot was effective if he watched it. And sometimes,
but does experience tell all us? Does experience tell all?
This is the point I'm making. Sometimes the visual metrics, the speed of the shot. Yeah, because how would you measure power? Kind of, it's the speed and the mass and
it's when it's also when you're standing. It's when you're actually standing on the punches.
I'd trust Sully to be able to delineate between one that looks quite slow and for him to tell me that that's actually a powerful shot. That's an effective shot. That would be a disabler. That would get the liver shaking. Then one that real windmill at high speed that doesn't do anything, which a computer or AI might think so. So look, ultimately, all I'm saying is that the experienced judges is where the book should stop. But I think there's definitely room for a lot of these data crunches and analysis to.
Word. Yeah, I got you right there, and that's definitely. Now, it's a controversial one, but we just looking at some of these decisions in boxing history. Number one was Sugar Ray Leonard defeating Marvin Hagler in 1987.
That was legit.
That was legitimate win. Legitimate win.
I watched that. I agree, but I've seen that few times, and Leonard just about won it.
Yeah, and they weren't like the whole bugbear was, I think Hagler was undefeated.
But it had a similar effect to Taylor Catterall, right? Because Leonard won on an SD. He got a 113, 115. 115, 113, and then 118, 110, a massive gap there.
But it was no. There might have been some
just that, right,
mirroring of the actual outcome, but the fight style and how the fight panned out.
Can't be
and
questioned yet.
It cannot. It's not
You
the same.
can never call that robbery. Never.
No. That's what I'm thinking. So a lot of these guys out there still, we're like miles apart from, say, Ray Markian of Bleacher Report in America, and he's like a experienced journalist for.
And what is he doing? Comparing Leonard Hagler with what happened with Taylor and Catterall?
No, he said we're talking about the controversial decisions of boxing. So
Shaq, what else is on that list? What else is on that list?
And number 2 is Bradley beating Manny Pacquiao.
The first one
was
that was
which was open
controversial.
To consideration. Yeah. And we got at third was Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez. I was a draw in '93. I think Whitaker maybe had a bit more. I don't know. He had a bit more.
From what I remember, he was very unlucky, Whitaker, in that fight. I mean, I think
he did what he did well was, like, obviously, jab and move pretty well.
But was Chavez not catching him? Was Chavez not catching him towards the end? Was he not walking him down?
At the end, of course, yeah, he's out trying to. But we're talking about early starts and getting off the front foot. Whitaker really had that, I think, and his early work should not be sort of, I don't know, dislodged from the whole result as it is. But 4 was Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield back in '99, which was a draw.
Oh, that was controversial. That was huge. Yeah, the first one.
I mean, this was the one, I think, was it Holyfield asking? Well, it was Holyfield predicting a 3rd round knockout or something like that. He was far from that, to be fair. I mean, the significance was that he came out of the both fights and he was really kind of the man at one point. And I think Lewis was as well, but I think Lewis can feel like he was robbed of victory there, to be fair. Yeah, because he had, I think he had the rematch after that. Lewis was well known for getting rematches afterwards, and he basically showed a better performance as a result. But I don't know. I mean, I think it was hard to not give it to Lewis on that one as well.
I'd still say the Campbell Hatton one was worse than the lot, man.
It's significant to the fight, isn't it? You look at the fights that Shaq talked about. So
talk about some big ones here.
Yeah. The Campbell was his 4th fight or something like that. So barely scratched the surface.
I know, but
5th and final was Tito Trinidad beating De La Hoya in '99. Now I was very young then, so I was just like still, excited over Nassim Ahmed fights and Tyson Bruno and watching Phil Dempsey on Sky Sports. But I guess you guys kind of know this one probably better than me. So how did you call it, really? Do you remember that fight?
I was still young as well, to be honest with you. So yeah.
I watched.
No, I wasn't trying to do an ages thing.
In that fight, from what I remember, De La Hoya gave away the last 2-3 rounds, didn't he? He thought he had it won.
Yeah, that rings true. That sounds kind of close to it because there was one of the judges had a draw, so it kind of suggests that like there was a lot of big rallies from a potential one of the fighters, and then 115, 113 to Tito, and then 115, 114 after that.
They were about, what he fought. I remember because De La Hoya was the man, way back when I was a kid, and he was like one of the first few guys I ever started watching. And you talked about Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and he fought him twice, beat him twice. First one on a head cut. And then that was it was De La Hoya time because he was everything. He was everything US, everything Mexico. And there was the Tito Trinidad. And this was when Tito was fresh. He had the left hook from hell, like come from nowhere, like just oof, like the sexiest left hook you'll ever see. But it was why in my head there was about 3 fights that De La Hoya had, and they're very similar, like tit for tat. And there was Mosley in his prime, there was Tito, and there was a guy called Ike Quarte, I think. Quarte.
Yeah.
Very similar. Ike Quarte was a bit more blocky. He was like do you remember who was that Ghanaian guy who fought Pacquiao? Was it Clottey? Something Clottey?
Joshua Clottey.
Yeah, Joshua Clottey, Winky Wright style, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit like that and less smooth than Tito and Mosley. But Mayweather, sorry, De La Hoya used to do that later on in fights. He used to just give away 3 rounds at the end. I don't know if it was bad corner management or whatever, but for some reason he would just start prancing around on his back foot. I don't think they were controversial. They were close fights, all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been more controversial ones than that.
Yeah.
And they're not coming to my mind, but I'm sure when you're watching, you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
I feel like because I'm gonna just move into Nottingham now and Nottingham boxing. Just wanted to talk
it was
a
in
bit just on
Nottingham
this.
actually. He was in Nottingham. Carl
Froch
Froch, yeah, 100%.
That's it. Super 6. What a crazy! That was a crazy decision. To some degree, I think Froch could not handle Darrell.
Froch on his knees at the end.
Begging
for the decision.
Yeah, I think he took the resistance out of Darrell because Darrell wasn't the same after that, to be honest with you. And also given the fact that in the Super 6 as well, he got a DQ win over the Georgian fella. I forgot his name now. He fought in Germany, and he was part of that Super 6 tournament.
Abraham.
Yes, Abraham. Yeah, Abraham literally, literally took him out in while he was on the floor.
That might have been what took his resilience because Froch.
Yeah, I think that just adding that to it as well. I think we never saw the same Darrell after that. But that was Darrell's chance in that aspect as a result of that. I think to take that mantle from what was arguably like the Sheriff of Nottingham, and one of our best, probably one of our best middleweights out there for a long time. I'm not really into Eubank Jr. and the funky style that he's trying to prick, but I really think that that was something we started a trend then that American guys wouldn't come to England because they felt that they were just going to get robbed anyway. Gone were the days of Lacey and like Calzaghe where you generally got shut out, but when it came to Darrell and Froch, that was the start with Americans starting to complain, we don't get a fair shake over here, we're not going to get the right chances to beat the best over here in America over the pond. They got to come over to us anyway because the money's good as well, and we'll give you fair judging as well. So it's one of those things. It's still a question mark over how well we adjudicate fights in boxing, and it should be reformed, should be changed. I like Naz's ideas. I think it's where technology plays a part in modern day sport. Just keeping on Nottingham then. So we had Leigh Wood, Mick Conlan.
Woo!
An instant classic in my opinion. Will be probably fight of the year
so far.
Yeah, I think that will probably take it, unless we're only in March. Yeah. We're talking mid-March here.
We're not talking just a slug. We're talking technique. That's the difference. Technique. Both guys. Conlan with his in and out amateur. With his left hand coming around, worked it out, and then
brilliant to watch.
Wood as well, working his way in with the body, power shots, different weight, different speed, different kind of power. Had it all, didn't it? And they were technically very good, not just two guys banging each other in the middle of the ring, which we love to see as well. This was proper.
Absolutely. I mean, like if we broke down the first part of that fight, I mean, Conlan's movement and his agility and his speed was just there for show, and it was getting to the point where Wood was really all about the puncher's chance at that point, but he really he grinded it out. And taking that shot that he did would have dropped anybody, to be honest with you. I mean, it was slightly shades of the way that Lopez Kambosos started off, and it was just like Kambosos like kind of displaying great physical ability to move around the ring, to get him and pop him away and move away from that again.
But Wood was out cold though. But Wood was gone in that.
Because the head banged right off the floor as well, and I was just thinking to myself, where is this guy going to get the minerals now to keep it going and pull this one out of the bag? Because it wasn't there. I don't even think the power. I could even question the power of Wood at that point as well, because I thought even before the fight, I didn't think the guy had an ability to really kind of dismantle to have the one punch knockout. I thought he could dismantle a fighter, I didn't think he had a one-punch knockout there.
But I think Wood, when he got caught with that first one, I think he was retreating with his head up in the air a bit, and just the accuracy of the punch and the way his head was kind of like his chin was out there, wasn't it? I think that combined then made it a much more lethal punch, and that's why he was shook to his. That's why he was gone. He was literally second round. I doubt he even remembers any of that second round. He was barely able to stand on his feet. He was that gone. But yeah, what conditioning though to come back to be able to. And not only that, I mean, Conlan, I think he went in hard for that round 2, round 3. You could tell he was going for it, and he probably emptied his tank a little bit, because later on down the stretch, he did look tired. You could see he was breathing, his mouth was open, he looked a bit fatigued. So Wood's conditioning, you have to give him massive credit. Obviously, his heart, just to be able to just hang in there and come
it's the
back.
difference, though, isn't it, between the dogs and the top guys, because it's clock management. The top guys will manage the clock. And I think Conlan struggled to manage the clock at times, because this guy was just pressing him afterwards, really, from what I saw. And like your Wards and that would have managed 45 seconds out of each, or your B-Hops would have lost a minute doing all sorts, where the other guy just couldn't do anything different but Conlan just couldn't do that, could he? And he just tied him down, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? It was a tough one. Tough.
Some vicious.
He's still got a bit of learning time, hasn't he?
Some of the body shots.
To Conlan. 17 bouts.
He's got 29 though, isn't he? So he's got to move.
No, Wood is about 29. I'm talking about Conlan. Conlan's already had like 70 bouts. He's still kind of fresh in the career.
Yeah. These guys now after this fight, they're only going to go up, aren't they? That's it. The stocks are risen. End of. So fair play to them. They put it on the line and they'll get the return now. So fair play to them.
Yeah. Well said. I just felt like I'm saying, like Sully touched on that last final half of the fight. Yeah, I felt like, the gas tank was kind of lacking there at the end. I think by 11, it just looked like he kind of just stood a little bit too much in the pocket. But, really generally, I think if Conlan can get a rematch again, I think things could chip away at Leigh Wood. I think he could see himself having a better standing next time. But what a classic, man! Just couldn't stress to you how much I enjoyed that. When you talk about the knockout itself, the way Conlan fell back through the rock, it was almost like it was in slow motion. I've never seen anything like it. Like the right hand knocked him out cold, like he was dead on his feet. Then he just slowly fell back and out the ring. It was almost like watching a Rocky film. Like when Apollo Creed got knocked out by Drago. It was like some. I think the referee was Steve Gray. I just felt he should have just jumped in a little quicker, but obviously he can't tell these things.
It would have been hard to do anything about that. I think it's a bit unfair to lay blame on the referee there, Shaq. Obviously, maybe he's not got the foot speed of yourself. You could probably get in there, but
I would have just been in and out of Zoom push. Would have had him. Would have caught the guy and be like, "Yes, you still got another day left, didn't you, mate? Don't worry about it."
I've never seen anything like it. Like you've seen Bernard Hopkins get knocked out of the ring in his last fight. You've seen David Haye get knocked out of the ring against Bellew, but it was always like they were just kind of like the struggle.
I think Haye was like just slightly on the edge of the ring, and he
just literally fell back and fell directly.
He was out. He was gone. Yeah.
Just somehow just fell.
You saw
crazy.
I think you saw Jamie Conlan and the Conlan team then come over and just try and get the paramedic as quick as they could to keep Mick in good stead as he went to the hospital after that. So they couldn't really, unfortunately, they couldn't really celebrate that win, Leigh Wood's team, because of the confirmation that they needed for Mick's health. So unfortunately, it had a little slightly subdued effort to it. But when you watch it back as the fan and you look at the way that fight went. What a brilliant comeback from Leigh Wood, and it's testimony to Nottingham and the Nottingham fighters with their sheer desire to keep winning throughout the game, never give up. So hats off to Leigh Wood, as I say, and Mick Conlan. I think they'll both go far from here still. And talking on Leigh, I like the fact that he's got a unification in the horizon with between Kiko Martinez and Josh Warrington, the old Leeds boy. Naz, any few words for your boy, Leeds?
Do you know what? I think that's a tad premature. I think we should just soak in. Sully was saying that this.
They want it. They want it at the City Ground, mate. They want that fight. Warrington Martinez fight.
Yeah, but that's kind of I heard Leigh Wood talking about at the City Ground, I think we need to just pause and soak in this fight of the year already, because I think it is certainly at domestic level. I mean, if there's anything else, it should be joint fight of the year or something along those lines. This just had everything. I mean, it was. It reminded me in some ways. It had some parallels between Froch and Groves 1. With the initial knockdown of the champion, and then not quite knowing where his feet are for about 4 or 5 rounds, because I think Froch always came out and said, didn't he, that he was concussed, didn't actually know where he was, and it felt similar with Wood not knowing where he was, and Nottingham man again not knowing quite where he is, and then but what he did was he started putting some investments into the body, into the rib cage, and little short, sharp shots. And I think he realized that he was getting some purchase on them shots. And then that down the, Conlan, it was an absolutely amazing fight from him. I can't fault Conlan at all.
No, I'd say, Nasta, one thing I would fault Conlan was, though, he was spending a bit too much time just backing into the ropes and sitting on the ropes and trying to do the whole Mayweather shoulder roll thing. And it wasn't working. He kept getting caught again and again and again on the ropes trying to do that. And he didn't really learn his lesson. And actually the knockout came from him trying to do the same thing. Now, I think it was partly down to the fact that he was tired. I think he was looking for a little break on the ropes. But it was something that he kept doing throughout. That was the only thing I would say as a criticism from him, is that he did spend a little bit too much time just backed up sitting on the ropes with not a particularly good guard, and I think that took its toll. But sorry, carry on. No, carry on.
No, that is very, very fair, and we discussed this quite frequently amongst ourselves anyway, that being on the ropes is a science unto itself.
Not everyone's Mayweather.
Not everyone's Mayweather. Not everyone knows where their legs should be. And in fairness, he was having. I mean, it was his kind of area of playing possum. It was his area of getting a little snippet of his defensive skills, and he was doing some good work, but it wasn't 100% airtight. And it was either that or getting in right in close, and he had to kind of try and vary the game plan. I think when the end, I mean, he got clipped. It wasn't a slip, in the prior round, in the 11th round, he got clipped, and I don't think he was fully recovered. And then on the ropes, he was out before he took the final blow. I think there were some short, sharp footing shots, and he looked like he was looking to go down. He was looking to put his derriere onto one of the ropes and basically sit down. And then Leigh Wood just final sledgehammer, and then he, like you said, it was almost as if he had a rope attached to his back and something dragged him out like a Matrix-esque kind of scene. It was just insane. It made no sense. Like, you thought, hang on, it's almost like defying kind of the laws of physics, the way he kind of got sucked out of the ring. Very, very odd look indeed. But the Leigh Wood chap, I'll be honest, prior to this, I didn't know too much about him. Again, heard his name on the periphery, seen some highlights in the build up to this, knew more of Conlan. Can we just take a second to say, what an absolute G? I mean, to kind of instantly bottle up his ego and that bloodlust and the fighter's instinct, after you've just done your job and done it in such style, but all you can do is be bothered about next man's health. Absolutely insane props, respect. See it few and far between, easy on the tongue, difficult to display and live out. And this guy had it in abundance. I am a massive, massive Leigh Wood fan after this. And I think there's a lot for him to grow and learn and develop and work on. But he's got, at the core of it, he's got more than enough, and he's already a champion. So big up to both of them. Hopefully Conlan makes a full recovery. But what a fight. What a fight.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic fight from Leigh Wood, and what spirit to be the new Sheriff of Nottingham, and still the WBA featherweight champion. I just wanted to brief touch on just the final parts now. So what we got left for March, we've got Kiko Martinez, Josh Warrington. I think that's a brilliant fight for Josh, just trying to make amends from the first fight they had.
Didn't they last fight? Wasn't it 5 years ago when they first fought, or something like that?
Yeah, that was with Franco BT, I think, as well. So
and Warrington
this
won quite comfortably on points, if I remember correctly.
I think it was a majority decision at the end for Warrington. So it was a hard fight.
Was it? Okay.
I mean, majority decision suggests.
I don't see how Kiko Martinez is going to. I mean, at his age, is what, 36 or something now. Kiko Martinez. Yeah. I don't see how at this age, 4 or 5 years later, he's going to do any better. So
yeah, I think it was
Warrington to take care of it.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to see was Kid Galahad again, versus Josh. But these the way this is what boxing does to you sometimes. And
another thing with that as well, Warrington's very lucky that he avoided that. Well, the rematch where it was against Lara, where Lara got that cut in the second round, and that I think he was very, very lucky that cut happened, because I don't think he was going to make it out of that fight. Personally, he might have lasted a few rounds longer, but I think that guy Lara had his number, because I think Warrington he's an instinctive fighter. He likes to come forward and trade, and he likes the toe-to-toe battle.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Really
and that was just a wrong style against a guy like Lara, who's just happy to take shots and give them back. And when he gives them back, it was significantly the bigger power puncher in that fight. And I feel like he got quite lucky with that one. But hey, maybe now he fights Martinez, beats him another big night, and then he fights Leigh Wood, and so if anything, it's turned out pretty well for Warrington after that.
One for Eddie to win, where he's lost to on the back foot. So, fair play to Eddie, and Lee's his man. Lee's done the job. You got Steve Rolls and Edgar Berlanga. Now, Edgar Berlanga is one of those top rank pushed, promoted middleweights. He's going to be in that middleweight circuit alongside your likes of Hamzahs and your other, the other notable Andrades and other notable middleweights at that area. So it's good to see how he's progressing as well. You got Virgil Ortiz as well, top welterweight at this point, and I think he's going to have another test with a guy called Michael Mackinson. Love to see where he goes with his career as well. Be interesting to see if he gets a potential fight with Crawford Spence in due course, or he is set up for, say, someone like a Jaron Ennis down the line. So yeah, I mean that's I think that's the big ones I can take from March. After that, we got April's. Just any final thoughts for you guys? Before the floor is open.
Just on the Josh one. I think that the Kiko Martinez fight, I think it's difficult. I don't think it was the last time they fought was very close again, and these guys, for like featherweight and super bantam and stuff, they're just like an interesting division. Like a really, they're like these whippersnapper jockey type of physiques. They're different type of boxers. They're not like super welterweight, light middle, going up to super middle, and then they're like different species, and they're just buzzsaws. They're just and I don't think one fight necessarily kind of leads into the other. I mean, Kiko Martinez, did he beat Galahad? He put him over, didn't he? He finished him.
Yeah, finished him.
Yeah. And that was what, in the last fight, the fight prior to this?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Literally finished it. Couldn't believe it.
Shock decision, shock outcome that was, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
But this is it. This is the experience and refinement of shots. Once you've got it in your system and you land them, and you play for keeps. And that's what. And Kiko Martinez, he's been around forever, hasn't he? And Josh Warrington, I agree. Unfortunately, that guy was his boogeyman, wasn't he? The bogeyman or whatever you call it. Lara. That first fight, but the only thing I'd say to that was two things. One, it was during lockdown. There were no fans. The first one, is that right? That is correct, isn't it? Both of them.
Yeah.
So you didn't have. I mean, and normally what you have is you have the Leeds faithful out in abundance, literally. Making a bit of a. It's just they're irreplaceable in that sense. Like it's part of an event. It's part
of the original rioters of Yorkshire.
But I don't. I think, like, imagine fighting 15, 16 fights consecutively. Frampton, Solby, Kiko Martinez, Galahad, all none. and you've got this cauldron of fans encircling, engulfing, making that stadium part of you, and then all of a sudden there's silence. It's a big, big impact, because I don't think Lara on paper should have been as difficult as he was. And Lara was a nightmare only in the first fight. It was a complete nightmare. And then again, he was a complete nightmare in the second one up until the sorry, Sully.
No, I was just going to say, I think Lara was just a mandatory. It was relatively unknown. No one was really expecting any problems with that. I think they were just thought, routine mandatory. And Warrington, again, I think he just completely underestimated him, because his defense was terrible, and like he just didn't have any respect for him. And obviously, it cost him at the end of the day.
And he got caught early on it by like a stiff jab or something very early, and then he just never seemed to recover. And then I because it was almost like, oh, I didn't plan for this. And again, Warrington's known to have a good chin, but it's just one of those things. Again, I think lockdown and just just that kind of step out of the norm might have been a bit of a nightmare, because if some of his performances, of course, obviously I'm biased, right? I'm a Josh Warrington fan, Leeds guy, whatever. But some of his performances have shocked me, and I know some of the people that are part of the camp and everything. And I'll like he's achieved way more than I ever thought he'd achieve. He's been an overachiever, and the performances against Selby and Frampton, oh my God, they were unreal. They're not talked about enough. They were modern day classics.
Yeah,
didn't he beat them consecutively? Didn't he beat Selby and then Frampton and then Galahad in successive fights as well? Yeah, one after the other. That's highly impressive to do that. Normally that's a
mountain, that's a pinnacle that you can reach, and then when you go down off it again, it goes really downhill.
And then even just before them, he beat Kiko Martinez as well. Just before them,
right?
That was it. So the close one was that.
So that like run of 4 or 5 fights that he had was just incredible.
I mean,
big credit to him as well.
It begs the question, like, how do you get up for fights like Lara? I mean, after you've gone on the massive whirlwind contest at your division with those guys, those are your like domestic foes.
But I still look. Having said that, though, I still think doing Lara. I still think Lara's style was just. It was just stylistically wasn't a great matchup for him as well. I don't think it was just fine. Yeah, the crowd not being there would have had some influence. Warrington underestimated him probably, but I still think stylistically it was just a nasty matchup for him as well.
He wasn't buying his feints. He didn't care. Lara
was coming straight through him. Body shots. Do you remember his body shots were ruthless?
He just thought it was one of them that I don't care. Like, okay, other people might get a reaction out of, or they might concede some real estate. I don't care. I'm doing what I'm doing here. And I think it was almost, no disrespect to Lara, I think from a boxing IQ perspective, he was levels below Warrington. And that in itself can sometimes do your head in. Like, you're thinking, hang on a minute, we're playing high-level chess here, and you're just using playing checkers. You've just literally gone through the board. They're not the rules of the game, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, that definitely should play in the guy in the champ's head, in the A-side's head. That what is this that is in with me right now? It's again, I think in terms of the matchmaking, I think that people were comfortably seeing Warrington kind of understanding how to adjust in a situation where you got, the Mexican fighter, albeit a mandatory. He is a Mexican fighter, knows the Mexican style, loves to fight, probably loves to come forward, probably has a good chin. Those kind of factors at that point in someone's career should really be the focus points on how you see a keys to victory like panning out. And it's just the fact you have to marry that up with the fact that he's a mandatory. It does play confusion on that head. So it's not been seen before.
I'm Team Warrington, man, and God willing he wins. And to be honest with you, I know other people who've kind of rubbed shoulders with him and whatnot, and just never ever heard a bad word about him. He's just a stellar, authentic guy, family oriented. Just does nothing else. Like obsessed with boxing. Like proper local lad. And you just want for people like that, you just want the best for. There's no airs and graces. He just knuckles down, dedicated, and it's a good ambassador for the sport. And talking about ambassadors for the sport, should Amir Khan trigger the rematch clause, or has he? Or what's going on?
Oh dear, I don't want to talk about I didn't want to talk about that, brother. That is something that I can't fathom.
Surely
Please,
he's not going to fight him again. Surely not.
I just can't see it, man. It's legacy breaking, that one, if he does it again.
I think we need to, Sully. I think you need to.
Who's going to promote it?
Bro, this is what I think. Look, I think it was just a tactical thing to try and get
step aside money.
Because if he activates the rematch clause, Brook is then obligated to fight him, or otherwise there's some kind of contractual obligation there. So therefore, if he wants to avoid that, then he'd have to pay him some step-aside money to say fight Conor Benn instead. That's all I think it is. I don't think why the hell would Amir Khan want to? He's a guaranteed pasting, guaranteed. Listen, there was nothing in that fight, because absolutely nothing in that fight which gives Khan 1% chance at a rematch. Literally nothing. So it's a guaranteed pasting. Does he really need the money? No. So what's he do? He doesn't need to take another beating. He already justified money anyway.
Well, by getting he got a new set of wheels as well just before that. One that cost him about 400,000. So he's good.
I don't think he needs to get beaten up again for money.
That's what I was thinking.
If he's doing it to just get a quick step aside thing, then okay, maybe he's just trying to pull a fast one. But that's all.
I think he's got season 2 of his reality show coming out as well on BBC Three, not long. So everything's in the works for him. He doesn't need another fight. Just think he's some kind of I don't know. I don't know what you want to call it. Sounds like he's like a government of boxing, right? He's trying to take his little piece.
Look, right.
You want to fight this guy? Oh yeah. Just pay your step aside to me. That's fine. So
I from what I saw or heard or whatever, I think even that rematch clause, for him to be able to trigger it, I think he probably thinks he's triggering it and going to get some step aside money. I think the reality is that it's got to show that it's a viable proposition, that it can make certain amounts of economic sense. Otherwise, it's just like a vexatious claim. It's just a claim in bad faith to try and ignite a rematch clause at the detriment of everyone, blah, blah. I'm sure there'll be something in there. And if there isn't, Ben Shalom needs a backhander, or somebody does from a contract law perspective. But that aside, what about his right shoulder, boys and girls? Was he not getting? Do you remember? I think we talked about it on the pre-match where he wasn't lifting his right arm up, and apparently he had a right arm shoulder injury, and he was getting cupping done on it. And post-fight conference, he had his right arm in a makeshift sling under his top and whatnot. Is there any truth in that? Or
zero. Even if his right arm was injured, will it make a difference in the rematch? Nas? He cannot take Brooks. He can't even take his jab. Never mind, take his power. So
I don't think
we were actually discussing that in the review show. The point we were making was, in fact, because I don't know, have you had cupping done before, Nas?
No, I've not.
Right, so we've had cupping done a few times between us, and those areas where you put the cups on immediately afterwards are very kind of sensitive and almost like a little bit stiff. Like, you don't want to be getting touched there or anything. You definitely don't want to be getting punched there. So we just found the whole thing just really strange that he'd even got cupping done in the dressing room before the fight. It just didn't make any sense. He's never ever done that before in his career. So first of all, it's the first time he's doing it in such a big fight. And then why would you want to do it? Like, it just doesn't make, if you speak to anybody who's had cupping done, I'm sure they'll agree. You do not want to be getting hit in those areas immediately after having that done to you. Like, it just doesn't. It was such a weird one. I didn't really get it, to be honest.
Probably last
Hollywood now, isn't he? I mean, he's a king of controversy. Whether it be like playing with himself on Twitter, or driving a new car, or getting lost in the jungle. My man is comedy gold. He is absolute comedy gold. He's the British. He's like British, celebrity furniture right now. He's a man of his own. Man, to his credit, I mean, from going from like brilliant Olympian boxer to just having the time of his life now in his mid-30s.
The bottom line is Brook is just too big for him and too strong for him and too smart for him, to be honest. It's just, he's never going to outthink Brook in the ring. It's not going to happen. His reflexes were dead. His legs were gone. his speed wasn't the same. Brain was always questionable whether that was there in the first place, and his chin was probably as good as it's always been. So I mean, there's nothing there where you can say, oh, like there's no angle where you'd give him any hope in that rematch. I'm sorry to say it. I mean, obviously, I think Khan still had a better career than Brook, and ultimately was a better fighter over his career, because they were never in the same weight division. It was always, he was always competing in a smaller weight division. But obviously, he wanted to fight and stuff.
I agree 100%, 100%. Everything what Sully just said there, and that last point as well. It's actually essential that kind of remembering that on the history pages, because Khan started off his career at like 135 or something daft, didn't he? And,
lightweight.
And Brook was in the amateurs. He was like light middle or something. It was bizarre. So that's a big point. But again, look, Kell Brook, give him his dues. He done well. It was a complete one-side shellacking. And
probably the best welterweight we had in these shows. Yeah, that could be argued.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah, during our time period, yeah, definitely. But look, I think in terms of going forward, it might be worthwhile having a few of these podcasts on Hamzah Sheeraz, specifically, in terms of his kind of background and evolution. Maybe just because I'll be honest with you, I've not given it the scrutiny that I would do normally, like someone that you organically follow from the amateurs upwards. So I feel like I'm doing him a bit of a disservice, but I think that might be like a nice little kind of journey, especially in the build up to the fight, and just do like almost like an accompanying kind of podcast and a supplement to the actual fight journey. That might be quite good. This has been fantastic, this kind of going from one topic to another, but really to get to the nooks and crannies and the finer granularity detail of it all, I think it might be quite interesting.
We need to have Amjad on. Yeah, we need to have Amjad on to come and give us that real insight. But I think, are we just making some kind of are we going to call this one? Yeah. So
we got to call this one now.
I'm going to say, based on what I've seen of Jez Smith, I reckon Hamzah will stop him between 4 and 6. I think Jez Smith likes to come forward. He's actually quite tough, so he'll take a few shots, but Hamzah's got to put on a show and eventually just batter him and maybe even stop him with a body shot, because I see he gets hit quite badly, quite regularly to the body, and he's been dropped to the body in a couple of the fights that I saw. And Hamzah's a pretty ruthless body puncher. I reckon that could be the telling punch in the fight, man. But yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I agree with those, and I kind of echo those sentiments as well. And I think Hamzah, for me, it's a 6-round TKO. I think he generally just walks him onto the ropes and batters him.
It's too much for him.
I agree with both of you two guys. I think even though it's a weight division up, unfortunately he's not of the caliber, doesn't have the momentum of a Bradley Skeet. He's not wily enough, he's not ring experienced enough to buy pockets of space and initiate and disengage and all of that. And I mean, he's been put over a few times. There's been some knockout stoppages against him. In the last kind of 8-9 fights, he's been stopped a few times, at least 3-4 times or something. So, and I think Hamzah Sheeraz he's got the frame to carry the punch power with him and to develop it. So I think we'd seen some kind of amateurish footage of him, shadow boxing, hitting a heavy bag, and all of this. And honestly, there was one out of the 3 bits of footage. He reminded me of a young Tommy Hearns. I mean, he needs to keep stretch. I think you've got the ear, haven't you, Sully? You're kind of, the brothers quite well and whatnot. But and I'm sure he's got a high world-class team around him. But Pilates, yoga, stretching, get that upper thoracic stretching doing on his scapulas. Get that. You don't want too much of a rounded back, which is a danger for a 6'3" guy. You see him, don't you? They get rounded. So that's a massive thing. And football, boxing's not great for that kind of long-term kind of posterior chain. But yeah.
Good point, man. Good point.
Agreed.
Very good point. Yeah, I like that, and I think so brilliant to get your views today, guys. And Hamzah coming Saturday 19th. Don't miss out on it. Another Frank Warren promotion. We love Frank. We love Hamzah.
Big up Frank.
We're gonna see it. We're gonna see a battering. intro.